It's the holiday season, and with it comes all of our favorite holiday films, shows, and songs. Do you spend this time wishing you were snuggled in an English cottage with Jude Law? Yes. To you, is Love Actually a perfect movie? Did you give someone your heart last Christmas? Whether you're celebrating Christmas in Connecticut or left home alone, all we want for Christmas is you to join us today as we celebrate our favorite holiday content.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Welcome to Once More Unhinged.
Yeah.
This is our weekly chat show where we get together to discuss whatever we're reading, watching, listening to, or engaging with this week.
Mm-hmm.
I am Frosty the Hot Toddy.
And I am speechless.
Great.
Cool.
I'm Ryan something.
And I'm Jen Katz.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
How's it going, Ryan?
Great.
Yeah.
Tis the season, as they say.
Tis the season, or whatever that means.
We are
which is from Buffy.
knee deep in it.
Not snow, though, because we live in Texas.
Not snow.
And that's not how it goes here.
Just cedar pollen
Oh my
and
gosh.
fluctuating temperatures.
While it might not be snowy here, it is snowy in my heart this time of year.
It's merry and bright.
It is, yeah. So for those of you listening now or in the future, it's December. It's holiday season.
Oh.
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
You know why?
Today, we're going to discuss some of our favorite holiday movies and shows and music that we love to listen to this time of year.
Yeah, it's our holiday faves.
Shall we get in our sleigh and jingle into it?
Yes. Join us on this sleigh ride.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Jenny.
All right.
Ladies first.
I think there's some crossover here with us on this one, but
Yeah, let's just go down the list. We've got a list, some of which you've added and some of which I've added, all of which I think that we mostly agree on, that we know of.
Yeah.
So let's just dive into it. We're going to start with some films.
We sure are. And funny that you mentioned dive in because my top holiday film involves a very famous scene of one Mr. Colin Firth coming out of a lake, plastered white shirt. It's Pride and Prejudice, the BBC miniseries from 1995.
I thought you were going to say Love Actually when he dives into the water and saves his novel and ogles the maid.
He has a great sweater on in those scenes. That's all I'm going to say about Love Actually.
I think Colin Firth's always well put together. But yes, Pride and Prejudice, the BBC version.
Yes. Starring Colin Firth, Jennifer Eel.
1995.
That is my Pride and Prejudice.
This is my Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. And I think it's most people's.
It's what started it. And it was epic. There would be days. Okay. I was introduced to this Pride and Prejudice. We watched it like as a kid. My mom and sister would watch it.
Oh, it's so good.
It was kind of like in the periphery for me.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's not technically a Christmas or a holiday film. I don't even know if they celebrate the holidays in this movie or in this series.
But this is what you're watching.
I love it this time of year.
Yeah.
And my husband watched it for the first time last year and he became obsessed. We're going to watch it with our girls when they're home for the break. I just love to watch it around this time of year. It's just so English. It's so cozy.
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice.
Because the next one you talk about a lot. I know you love this one.
The Family Stone from 2005, starring your gal and mine, Diane Keaton, Dermot Mulroney, Sarah Jessica Parker, Rachel McAdams, Craig T. Nielsen, Claire Danes.
I mean, come on.
It's a stacked cast.
Stacked cast. Love it.
And it is a Christmas film.
It is.
I love it.
There's family holiday drama.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
the best,
Sarah Jessica Parker with her throat clearing. She's the uptight type A that Dermot Mulroney brings home. His mother is Diane Keaton. His father is Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah.
His sisters are played by Elizabeth Reiser. Rachel McAdams is the other sister who I love. And her and Diane Keaton scenes, stellar. Yeah, it's a Christmas movie. It's fabulous. If you've not seen The Family Stone, go watch it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Family drama around the dining room table in the kitchen. Lots of kitchen scenes. Yeah. And a great soundtrack.
It is a fantastic soundtrack. Bring your Candy cane hankies. It'll make you
right.
cry. It was really good. Yeah. Okay, this next film I saw in theaters when I was in high school.
Did you see this in the theater?
I did.
In 2006?
I did, 2006.
With your friends?
With my friends. And I think my boyfriend at the time, who was very obsessed with Jack Black. So we could unpack on another podcast.
Skiddly-doo.
So yes, The Holiday, starring Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, Jude Law at what I would say peak Jude Law, and Jack Black.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a great film. There's also Hollywood screen legend Eli Wallach who stars in this. He's the older man who Sid, who befriends our gal
Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm. He's a Hollywood screen legend. He was very well beloved and known in Hollywood circles and very well respected. Anyway, This was a stacked cast.
Oh, yeah.
Very well written.
It's a great movie.
This is a great Hollywood film. There's not a character in this that I dislike.
Same. I mean,
even Jack Black.
That was one of his first roles that I remember him not doing
himself.
And there
fully. Yeah.
The Jack Black is still there.
Yeah. It's hard.
And he and Kate Winslet have such cute charm and chemistry together.
It's great. Yeah.
It's a great movie. And Jude, like I said, Jude Law is
Yeah. Seeing Jude Law just get to be this like bumbly little like fun guys
with kids. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very endearing.
And it's Christmas and it's a house swap. So you get to be in like a cute village in England, in Los Angeles. It's great.
I love the Santa Ana winds.
Yeah.
That whole, Anyway, it's great. Great film. Check it out.
And speaking of England, this is a film we both love.
This is at the top of the list for both of us, I think.
Well, you reintroduced it to me and introduced it to my kids last year, which I hadn't seen it since I was young. And now it's going to be a staple. A Muppet Christmas Carol starring Michael.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking Caine.
Yeah.
And he's acting.
He is.
He's not seeing Muppets. He is performing like he
is on stage at the Royal Theater.
He's the performance of a lifetime.
They did such a fine job at retelling this story in a way that works for adults as well as kids.
Agreed.
It is phenomenal. Say what you will about the Muppets. I get it. Puppetry is not for everyone, but this is such a beautiful film.
It is.
The songs are are great. They're catchy. You know, but there's something for everyone in this film.
I agree. And they're funny, like Rizzo and Gonzo as the Greek chorus narrator, like great. Audience surrogate. I mean, we laughed out loud multiple times. Yeah, I love it.
What's he say at the very beginning? Is like, I'm here to tell the story. And Rizzo's like, and I'm here for the food.
Yeah.
It's such a great, those
very
two
cute. Yeah.
Have such great chemistry together. But
yeah,
Rizzo is just such a fun character and he got to really flex his muscles in this film. And I love it.
Yeah. Same.
And Michael Caine. Come on.
What more? You don't need to say anything else. So another one that's on my list that I think is also on yours is The Snowman from 1982.
This is it is always tied for number one because it's number one in my heart.
Yeah.
This was a movie that I watched growing up. My mom, we had the VHS cassette. We would watch it every year, multiple times a year, but especially around the holidays. It's just such a beautiful film. It's like an animated ballet.
That's such a good description. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really, there's not a script. Mm-hmm. It's animated. It's music. Yeah. There's not it's not traditional storytelling. It's silent except for the music.
Yeah. It's a fable almost. It's like, there's a lesson to be learned here.
Yeah.
And it's not all, peaches and cream. And I just think it's beautiful, almost like Germanic storytelling, where it's this small family, this mom and dad and this young kid, and he makes a snowman. And in the middle of the night, because of Christmas magic, the snowman comes to life. And the kid shows him around the house, and the snowman's poking his nose and all sorts of different things that he's curious about, from a cat to a fireplace to roller skates. And there's beautiful music that's going on, and they're having this jovial time. And then he gets on a motorcycle and he takes the kid for a ride, and then they take flight.
Yes.
And he flies him.
That's my favorite part.
I love it. And that song is so haunting we're walking in the air. It's one of the most haunting, beautiful. And that was one of the things that made the movie for me, was that song. I've always been drawn to music. Such a great film. Flies him to the North Pole, and then he gets to meet Santa and all of his other snow people from around the world and various different, like, you know, costume and cultural traditions. And then he comes back and he gets tucked into bed by the snowman, and he waves goodbye and see you in the morning, and the morning comes and the sun has risen and the snowman's no longer there. And it's just this very poignant, beautiful story of, you know, watching a kid have this joy and this magic.
Yeah.
And then to see it like come and go. And it's like, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's really good storytelling through animation and music.
It is. Yeah. And it's from 1982, but it still holds up animation wise. You know, I did not grow up with the Snowman. I'm recently exposed to it. Let's say like the past 4 years, but it's now like the girls loved it last year. They've already asked to watch it this year.
Go for it.
Okay. So my final kind of major one that I love to watch, and I've been watching it since it came out, and I got the DVD box set, is the Downton Abbey Christmas special from season 2, episode 10.
Love it.
I mean,
with Matthew,
it's Christmas. It's the early 1900s. It's a grand English manor.
There's been this buildup.
Yes.
Of, you know, of course it's the time period. So it's like no one can just be fucking honest about their feelings.
Right.
So there's this buildup between Matthew and Mary that's been going on for a season and a half. And finally we get this beautiful, I remember the moment that I watched this scene. I was laying in bed at my house, and I was in the bedroom. I was watching this in real time as it was airing.
Yeah.
And I remember being so giddy that this moment finally took place. It was so sweet. It was so beautiful. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is pure romance right here.
Yeah. They finally just give in to one another.
At the very end of the episode, at a Christmas party, and they step outside and it's started to snow, and finally they just like tell each other. Yeah. They just have this moment, and it is so beautiful. I love it.
You get married and stay together forever, and the show ends beautifully.
Right. So one of the ones that's at the top of my list is one of the most, we love holiday films, especially like a family holiday film, because there's always like a dysfunctional family that has to like gather for the holidays. This may have been one of the ones that really set it off. This is The Lion in Winter. It is the play, 1968.
Okay.
Peter O'Toole, Katharine Hepburn, Anthony Hopkins, and Timothy Dalton, all-star cast. All of them in their prime. It's a dark historical comedy. It's a must-watch. It's razor sharp as far as like its wit. It's it's based upon the play, and it is almost identical as far as like the screenplay to the actual play. It's beautiful. It's set during medieval Christmas, where Henry II of England lets his wife, Eleanor of Aquitaine,
one of my favorite female historical figures,
lets her out of her prison because he's held her captive for many years because she ran too many wars against him. He lets her out for Christmas, and he invites their sons, and it is all about Henry finally deciding upon an heir. And they invite Philip from France to join them, and Philip has some familial relationships with a couple of the sons, and he uses it to really kind of like twist the screw and all of this family drama that's happening here. Anyway, it is beautiful. The costumes are great. The soundtrack by John Barry is one of the finest soundtracks of the mid-century time period. It's a phenomenal film, and it all takes place over Christmas. I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to watch a classic film.
Love it.
At Christmas. We can't talk about Christmas favorites without talking about Home Alone. Okay.
Yeah.
What can we say? Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Catherine O'Hara. It is an all-star cast.
That was a film, I think, to me, that the moment it was released and did well, it became a Christmas classic. It didn't like become a cult classic.
Oh, it was huge. It was an instant classic.
People were like, this is a Christmas movie. I mean, I grew up with Home Alone. Yeah.
I mean, I was at the same age at the time. And so to me, it was like, we were doing this all the time.
Oh, keep the change, you filthy animals. God. Saying that to everybody. I mean,
going through the checkout line. Like, I'll give it a whirl. You know, it's just like, it was so quotable.
So close. It's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this entire film is when we get introduced to the John Candy character, who is the polka king of the Midwest, and he's trying to get Catherine O'Hara to like. And of course, they acted together, and they're part of that Canadian acting troupe.
Yes.
And so they just have a really great chemistry. All of those folks. She's like, "What are you trying to tell me? I'm trying to get home to my kid." Like,
Catherine O'Hara, she's good at everything, but
this role,
it's so funny. She's so funny.
This high-strung character, this mom, she's this part. She mopped the floor with it.
She did.
Okay. Speaking of high-strung and just dysfunctional families at Christmas time.
Oh Lord!
I introduced you to this great film. Came out in 2004. It stars Ben Affleck, James Gandolfini, Christina Applegate. Catherine O'Hara, and anyway, this is called Surviving Christmas. This is a modern day take on a classic Christmas tale. It's humorous, it's heartwarming. It's about this lonely man, Ben Affleck, who tries to hire a family to spend Christmas with him because his girlfriend him, right? Is very superficial, and so she was like going to go to Hawaii, and or he wanted to go to Hawaii. She was going to go to her parents or something like that. He's like, "Oh, let's just like go do our own thing."
Yeah.
Anywho, he doesn't have any family, and so somehow he ends up back in his hometown. A therapist recommends to him just off the cuff that he should write a list of his grievances down and go to the place where he has some sort of like a connection or a draw, and then like burn the list of grievances.
Yeah.
And he shows up to his home, his childhood home, which is now occupied by James Gandolfini and Catherine O'Hara and their son. And they're very dysfunctional at Christmas. It's like this blue collar family.
Yeah.
It's hysterical. James Gandolfini just is so good at
what a loss
everything
to us
he
all.
does. But he does comedy, physical comedy, so well.
I had never seen him in anything other than The Sopranos until this, and I was blown away.
Jolt, right?
Yeah,
what a jolt. Anyway,
he's so good.
It really is a feel-good movie, but there's so many moments in here where you're just like, this is insane.
It's unhinged.
Unhinged. It truly is unhinged.
But we
had so much fun watching it.
We did.
I'm so glad that I got you on this train.
I know
it's unconventional, but we watched it.
Speaking of unconventional, so much fun.
One that we talked about the Muppets earlier, and we talked about the Muppet Christmas Carol. Before the Muppet Christmas Carol, what I grew up watching this time of year, really two things. One of them we listened to more. Anyway, it was another Muppet film, Emmet, Otter's Jug-Band Christmas. This is a beautiful, heartwarming tale about this young Otter's determination to win the Christmas talent show, which is filled with all sorts of other, really fun little Muppet talent acts. So he can buy his mom like a piano, because she's like really good at playing piano or sing or something like that, or guitar. And then she enters the talent show in order to try to win, so she can buy him like a toolbox and some other stuff. So they both join the talent show unbeknownst to the other one, in order so they might win money to buy the other one a gift. They have zero money. She washed his clothes for a living, and he's like a handyman. His dad died. All he was left was a toolbox, and she has a washboard. Anyway, they sing these beautiful little endearing songs to one another. He ends up putting a hole in the wash tub because he's got to have something to like play for the band. So he ends up making like a little bass guitar with the washboard. Yeah. She ends up selling his toolbox because she wants to have enough money to like have fabric to make a dress for the talent show, so she can like really stand out. So they both end up selling the things that both of them require to like live on. They end up respectively not winning the talent show. They lose to this incredible band called the River Bottom Nightmare Band, made up of these like just crazy fun Muppets. But they do have one another, and on their way back home after the talent show, they realize that they lost, but they also gained something else, which was they both did this for the reasons that that they did it for, and that like they were going to be okay and they were going to figure it out. And while they're having this discussion, Mr. Frog, the mayor of the town, who also owns the inn, says, you know what? I think this is such a heartwarming moment, and I want to give you guys a chance. So if you'll bring your band and if you'll sing, Mom, I will give you a standing gig where you guys can perform here like weekly, and I'll pay you.
Oh,
and it all ends up all right. Anyway, Emmet, Otter's Jug-Band Christmas. It has some of the most beautiful music that you will ever hear.
Okay,
check it out.
All right,
I highly recommend it. Unconventional Christmas film.
Well, I love it,
but still a Christmas film, very much like Pride and Prejudice, The Godfather, 1972.
Cue the music.
Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Diane Keaton. We can go on and on and on about everyone that was in that film.
That would be a fun pod to do, like controversial castings that we don't like. And mine is Diane Keaton in The Godfather, but that's not the time. Today's not the time.
It's not the time or the place to unpack that. And we're like to apologize to everyone listening for this disparaging remark against my love, Diane Keaton. And I'll accept your personal apology later. Okay.
Yeah, The Godfather. When you said this earlier, I was like, oh yeah, this works.
Not explicitly a Christmas movie. However, it takes place around the holidays. And so there's just this great, like, what was it, like 40s or 50s, you know, like kind of New York borough vibe of like Christmas going on, where you got the tinsel. And
it's so beautiful.
You got the big lights. Anyway, it's well done. So
yeah,
I had to put that on my list of Christmas movies. Another film that wasn't intended to be a Christmas film, or maybe it was, Batman Returns, 1992, with Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Tim Burton directed.
In the bisexual pantheon.
It's here.
Woo!
Meow. Meow, 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 meow.
It's a great movie.
It's Christmas.
We used to spend time with my dad, and my cousins would come from Missouri, and we'd all crowd around my dad's little TV in the living room. And this was on VHS. And I remember being like, what the fuck is happening? Like, Danny DeVito is terrifying as Penguin.
Terrifying.
Oswald Cobblepot.
Great makeup,
great physical acting, the whole thing. He's terrifying. He's fucking terrifying.
I mean, he just like really embodies that character. And so he was able to just like play it spot on. Yeah. Of course, it's Michael Keaton's second film as Batman, and last film. Well, no, not last film. Last film
should have been his last film.
I don't know. And Michelle Pfeiffer, of course, as Catwoman, as Selena Kyle. Thank you very much. Oh, and how could we forget her boss, Christopher Walken? It's such a great film. Anyway,
no notes.
Fantastic film. Takes place around Christmas, so it's not your traditional film, but it's a wonderful little winter setting in Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can't talk about Christmas again, like Home Alone, without talking National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Clark,
1989.
fucking Griswold.
Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, you know, resurrecting their roles from the original Vacation film. Randy Quaid, all-star cast again. This is just funny from start to finish.
It's hysterical.
So family's got family coming over for vacation. Again, it's family drama.
It's family
drama.
What
this is all about. But everything unfolds in this film is just, it gets funnier and funnier and funnier. And when Randy Quaid shows up, I'm sorry, like
Cousin Eddie.
They just took this film to a whole nother level. When Cousin Eddie shows up, says that the shitter's full, and Clark just loses it waiting on this damn Christmas bonus to come in, and it never does. And the whole time he's just drinking more eggnog, and the wheels keep coming further off the bus, and the whole tree goes up, and a squirrel comes out. Anyway, it's hysterical. And we have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who plays the neighbor. That's
right. Yeah.
Who gets fed up with the Griswolds and all of their
rightfully
shenanigans.
So
she may be owed compensation. Totally.
I think she absolutely is owed compensation.
Okay. I'm going to get into like 3 classic films and just kind of wrap up the movie stuff here, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Okay. There are some classic films. I already talked about The Lion in Winter that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But I want to get into some films that came out in the 40s that I think are just beautiful.
And I love this because I want to incorporate more classic films into my life. So let's hear it.
We all know It's a Wonderful Life. I didn't even put it on the list. But Frank Capra, Jimmy Stewart.
Attaboy, Clarence.
No notes. It is not a perfect film. No. And it certainly has moments where it can be really dark. But I think that was the intention of this film, was to see this character really go through hell before he could come back out of it. And anyway, it's a beautiful film. I watch it every year on Christmas Eve, like right before I go to bed, usually after like a Christmas Eve service. But there's some other beautiful Christmas movies that came out, especially in the 40s, where it's like Christmas was just like everywhere.
Yeah.
And, they're really trying to lift people's spirits up during the war and lead up and post-war. So The Man Who Came to Dinner is this beautiful film with Betty Davis. It's Monty Woolley and Sheridan. And even, what's his name? That, I have to think of that here in a minute. Anyway, it is witty. It's fast paced. It's a comedy about this radio personality who comes to town to do like a speaking gig. And while he is in town, he has some fans, and they invite him over to dinner, and he never leaves because he ends up slipping on the steps outside. And the local doctor says, well, you have to stay here for a few days and recover.
Yeah.
He is very bossy. He's very particular. He is very crude. He's very demanding. And everyone just falls over themselves to try to accommodate this gentleman who is very difficult to accommodate. Anyway, Betty Davis plays a wonderful part. She's absolutely stunning in this role. Yeah. And anyway, hijinks ensue, as you can imagine. We get penguins being shipped to him from people around the world. We see him playing jokes on his friends. Anyway, it's a really funny film, and it is an all-star cast. I highly recommend The Man Who Came to Dinner. It takes place over Christmas. It happened on Fifth Avenue. This is a beautiful film. Stars Dana Andrews, Annabella, and Gail Storm. It was directed by George Seaton. This is a heartwarming, nostalgic film. It's a timeless tale of this man who sets up shop. He's a homeless man who sets up shop inside a millionaire's house on mansion on Fifth Avenue. And there's a whole cast of characters that start coming in and out of this mansion. And before you know it, throughout the entire Christmas season, while the owner of the mansion is supposed to be in Florida with his wife, you have this homeless man, and you have the daughter who actually lives in the house pretending that she's not who she is, who's staying there as well. Then you have this young man who's kind of like down on his luck, who's looking to like break it into business, and he's looking for the right gal, and he ends up falling in love with the daughter, and they're all living under this roof. And before you know it, the owner of the mansion comes back to town, but the daughter's like, hey, things are going really good here. Just play along. Just act like you're another homeless person looking for a place to live. And it's this beautiful story about the owner of the mansion, who's also the head of this large, I think like a steel company in New York, who ends up giving the kid a break and ends up like hiring him to work for the company. And it's just this beautiful tale of like rags to riches almost. And by the end of it, the cat comes out of the bag, and everyone realizes like what their real place and their real roles were. But they all end up having learned something really valuable, which was like love for one another. Yeah. The mom and dad end up reconnecting. The owner of the mansion and his wife end up reconnecting and rekindling their flame. The daughter finds love in this young man. He finds himself and his purpose. And all of it because this homeless man was able to like invite people in and just treat them with love and respect. They end up swapping houses again. They're like, well, where are you going to go after this? And he says, well, I think, I know of an empty house down in Florida. I think I might go occupy for, 6 months or so. Anyway, it's this beautiful little film. If you don't feel good after watching this, this is a cozy night in film. Oh. I don't know what else to recommend.
Jonah, what's wrong with you?
Okay.
Okay.
Christmas in Connecticut, 1945, and Remember the Night. Remember the Night is really like, it's very noir.
Yeah.
But it's Christmas.
It sounds noir.
Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray have so much chemistry. It is hot.
Good for them.
Yeah. Romantic comedy. Remember the Night's classic tale about a district attorney who falls in love with a shoplifter that he's been prosecuting. It's witty, it's charming, it's like all the other 1940s classics. And then Christmas in Connecticut is hysterical. It is Barbara Stanwyck, who is a food writer who has to pretend to be a housewife for Christmas for a magazine article. She's been writing all of these beautiful like recipes in this like magazine in the 40s, and people have been reading it. She's the Martha Stewart of her time. Turns out she doesn't actually know how to cook any of these recipes. And her little shtick of like living in like this cottage in Connecticut where she makes all these like home cooked meals and people come over, like all of it's been made up, but people have been eating it up. Anyway, the publisher of the newspaper says, well, we have a wounded war vet who's coming home, and all he wants to do is spend Christmas in Connecticut at your country home and have you serve him, like starts talking about the recipes. Yeah. And he says, so you can either do it or you can lose your job because publication's losing money. And this is like our way to like really hit it home. And so she agrees reluctantly. And so she enlists her friends and a whole like cast of characters to help her try to pull off this ruse. And the wheels come off the bus, but in the most glorious and perfect way.
You think the girls could watch that one, or is it a little?
I think the girls would love that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny.
So I know we probably left some of your favorites off. I'm talking about you love Actually People.
The Family Man, Nicolas Cage.
Family Man.
Tia Leone.
And all the classic, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty, all that. There's so many that we love. Don't have enough time to cover. So
we don't.
Write us a letter. Yeah. Maybe send us a fax.
Right. Santa. Send your Santas a letter.
Yeah. And let us know what your favorite holiday films and shows are.
Jenny, we got 3 minutes. Let's talk about our favorite Christmas songs real quick.
My favorite is Last Christmas by Wham.
Okay. Well, it's 40 years this year, 1984.
Love it.
Wham. We love Christmas to Remember, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers.
Number 2 for me.
So good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Speaking of Dolly, number 2 is not Christmas to Remember, although I love that song. Hard Candy Christmas.
Hard Candy Christmas.
God. Damn it, I love Dolly Parton.
We have a list of great holiday albums that we will upload into our show notes.
Yeah, we'll link all this to the show notes.
If you are looking for some good holiday music for your Christmas parties, or you just want to sit by yourself at the fire and drink some eggnog.
Yeah.
This is a good list.
This is it. And I want to shout out the dreidel song. It's the
only, of course, the dreidel song.
Jewish holiday song that I am aware of.
The Nutcracker.
Yes.
Go see your local Nutcracker performance. Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker is such a beautiful, beautiful ballet. Of course, we live in Texas. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
I think Sleigh Ride might be my favorite.
You think it's your favorite?
But I go back and forth. There's some others that
Feliz Navidad is great.
I always pick up that I like. What's the one with the sisters and like, just hear those
bells ringing.
That's the Rockettes. Right? No, but the Rockette version.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I love like every version of Sleigh Ride.
It's such a good song.
It just gets you in the spirit,
I also love Judy Garland, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. That's like in front of the fire.
Which is not a Christmas song.
I know, but I love it. I listen to it every Christmas.
It's really depressing if you listen to it.
It's terrible, but
my grandmother banned it. We were not allowed to listen
to it.
Could not listen to it.
God bless Dottie. She's fair for that. I also love It's the Holiday Season.
Kenny Rogers had a really good Christmas album in 1981 called Kenny Rogers Christmas. Phenomenal. He's like peak Kenny.
Love it.
You mentioned that Christmas to Remember. I think that came out in maybe 85, and that was a duet of Christmas singles between Kenny and Dolly, which that's where we get Christmas to Remember. Lou Rawls. Okay, y'all, if you want like a really like
his voice,
smooth 1967 kind of Motown Christmas sound, Lou Rawls. I mean, you're gonna dig it. And Charles Brown's Cool Christmas Blues is one of my absolute
you introduced me to that
favorite Christmas albums. It came out in 94, but I mean it is just like blues, total blues.
And we know everyone, Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
That whole album,
it's great. Phenomenal. It's a great album.
Everyone goes to All I Want for Christmas on that album, but I'm sorry, I Miss You Most at Christmas Time is the song for that entire album.
It's a great album.
It is a banger.
Yeah.
And we can't mention Christmas without mentioning boy bands 98 Degrees.
We're 80s and 90s kids, so
98 Degrees had a Christmas album come out in 99. Not a boy band listener, but it's hard not to tap your foot and get into the Christmas spirit when you're listening to this album.
Listen, I'm going to put that on in the car going to pick up because I didn't know. I was a 98 Degrees fan. I am a boy bander.
This is it.
My boy band Christmas is NSYNC. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas and happy. It's so good. So good.
And they heard him exclaim as he rode out of sight, bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye.
Brian.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And may your days be merry and bright.
Thank you so much for listening to Once More Unhinged. These episodes come out on Wednesdays.
They do. Please check us out on social media. We are at Once More Podcast on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Threads. And you can find these shows on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music and Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We are at Once More Podcast. Unhinged is produced by us. I'm Ryan something.
And I'm Jen Katz. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Feliz Navidad.